What happens when a creator uses rage bait to get all kinds of engagement from his community and get people to watch his channel and it backfires?
This show is filmed in front of a live Twitch audience.
Well, this is what happened recently with a very big YouTuber called CinnamonToastKen, and his audience has been torn into two sides. One side says what he did is wrong. The other side says the people that originally complained about what was wrong are the problem. But what nobody is talking about is the effect of rage bait on a community. And so this is what we're going to be talking about today. Join me as I tell you this story on this episode of iKatMax Uncut. Well, hello, nurse, and I hope everybody is having a wonderful day so far. So, this story has a little soft spot in my heart because I was in the Reddit when all of this went down. I was watching the videos along with people because I used to love Ken's channel. And now I still like his older videos and his To Catch a Predator style videos with Buff Pro, and they they kind of use this platform of theirs to show their dark humor and show people, it's kind of okay to make fun of the bad guys. But what happened was that they used the same kind of humor, albeit a little bit more dramatic, a little bit more enticing, last week on a video when they made a video about a man who is depressed and whose room was extremely messy, and he said that it was due to his depression and he could not clean. And in making fun and derogatory jokes about this creator, this upset people in Ken's community. Now, the problem wasn't so much the original jokes. Ken has made similar jokes before, right? And always came back with an apology and acted in a way that people became used to. And they expect this from Cinnamon Toast Ken. And that's not what happened. So, people that were unhappy with the comments made fairly raised their concerns in the comments. And they said that some of them are depressed and even stated that Ken is their comfort YouTuber. So they're going through this rough time. So they go to his channel, they get his dark humor jokes. This one just hit home hard. What then happened and then escalated is kind of what the problem is, but the original problem has been shoved under the carpet by all of the other things that happened. So basically, right after this video went live, people went into the comments, they said how they felt, and some people even discussed it on Reddit. This being so, Ken then wrote a comment and pinned it to his original video. He also changed the title of the video, which became a little bit more unhinged each time, and his comment made people more upset because his comment went more about the fact that people disagreed with him, and he kind of got a little bit personal, reflect like based on what people were saying in the comments. He brought this in and made some passive aggressive comments that people were not used to Ken doing this. So it did not go off well. And when I originally watched the video, I was uncomfortable, so I checked the comments and I saw this. And then as I read this comment where Ken was saying that he had been diagnosed with depression and he kept adding to this comment. At one stage, he even stated that people said his depression isn't good enough, and people can't make fun of him because he's also depressed, and where he's also been diagnosed with depression. I apologize. He's been diagnosed with depression. And that would have been okay if he then cut it there and left it. People would not have had much more of a problem. He then, for a third time, changed the video title. But I don't want this to be a video where we focus on just the Cinnamon Toast Ken. This is not a video where I'm saying what Cinnamon Toast Ken did is all wrong, or what his audience did was all right or all wrong. There's a bigger issue here. And the bigger issue is how creators and how they respond to any kind of controversy could lead to their audience leaning into it even more and it giving strength. But it would be temporary if it's based on rage bait. Because what happened next was that Ken, who had not been on his Reddit for 4 years, would use ChatGPT to respond to people, and then also got into arguments with people right after his very first apology stream on this topic. Now, in this particular stream, he named it an apology, but it wasn't anything but an apology. It was more of a, I am better than you all, and you should be sorry to me, I'm disappointed in you as my audience and the people that disagreed with me, because I'm depressed, I'm better than you all, and he got tricked into saying a racist slur on his stream. Which, that has happened to many creators before. I think the way that he handled it wasn't the worst. I think the way he handled the rest of the situation was bad. So, right after the stream, he goes into the Reddit for the first time in 4 years. Some people got ChatGPT response. Some people got wild arguments. But this was when people in the Reddit started digging deeper and started making really, really horrible responses, and was going on about Ken and Mary, his wife. Their relationship was brought in. They made comments about his family, and it got unhinged. It went bonkers, and all for nothing, really, because all this did was encourage the people that were never even offended by the joke to begin with, because they said that they were used to this happening. This was the same kind of jokes that Ken had always made. But the more people became extreme, the more people who originally stated, hey, we have a problem with the type of jokes that Ken made regarding depression and people who are depressed, and that it was insensitive and ableist, those voices got quieted and got shoved under the table. And these voices who were extreme, who said things like, for example, Ken had trafficked Mary from Australia to America, which is not true. She was an adult at the time she started talking to him. So their love story is a kind of a strange one to me, because, you know, back in the day, we looked at love stories and internet love and relationships a bit different. And it was a couple of years ago, right? Now, if you look at age gap relationships, there are people who have learned that large age gaps are kind of a little bit inappropriate. But, you know, when two people are adults who can make decisions for themselves, and this is the point of view that we should, and the kindness we should give to Ken, but more to Mary. Mary was an adult. She made decisions as an adult. And she opened up her world, and they became a couple later years. They got married, And now they've been married with 4 children. So people saying things about Mary, drawing her into this when she was never in it to begin with, that was so inappropriate. Like, why would you do that? Why? And all of this then compounded into another live happening. And this live was marked as allow me to be serious. Because Ken had now pushed the envelope and kind of built upon this persona of he's being an a-hole to his community and people in his community. And some people then just still didn't like that live, because in this live he said he was sorry and that people shouldn't have brought in his family. He acknowledges that he basically used rage bait. He didn't put it in those words, but he used the drama and the rage bait to get views and to get people that he felt might not fit into his community. They wouldn't watch him anymore. He thought they would just leave. He didn't think that the whole Reddit situation would get that bad. But on the other hand, something he said in the previous live, he stated that his audience being more female now was the reason that people were acting this way. So when he was now in this live, he was saying, I'm sorry for all that. That was maybe taking it too far. And, you know, I could see that he understood that he had did something wrong. I want to make it also very, very clear that after all this has taken place, I am kind of, as Hansel, where I'm looking at it from a point of view of how does a creator's actions align with my values? And if it doesn't align with my values anymore, do I want to consume the content? And instead of making a big deal about it, just walking away. The reason I'm talking about this is because through all of this, the one thing that Ken has learned is that drama gets views. In his very, very last 2-hour live stream, where I decided I'm kind of stepping away from this whole situation, was when he said toxicity brings in the views, and people have said that this was a career-ending move from him. And, you know, it didn't work because the views are up by 20%. People are looking for his channel. The channel's doing better. So toxicity works. That's where I decided that, you know, I want to talk about building trust with your community and the value of that. There's so much we can learn from creators that have been in this game for a long time. CinnamonToastKen, I found him through PewDiePie, and I kind of enjoyed his To Catch a Predator videos and his TLC commentary, his Dr. Phil videos with Buff Pro. And I do not feel that what happened with his family is okay. Nobody should have gone to the extreme of talking about his family. And if people felt strongly that they weren't being heard the first time in the comments, which I think people should have picked up on this maybe sooner in the way that he reacted. And that is where we can learn from it. Because what had happened in people continuing to discuss and trying to be heard and trying to get Ken to understand their point of view, which quite frankly I think he understood, but he did not care in the sense that yes, he saw the opportunity for drama and he pushed that envelope, because his very first apology stream was monetized and he got tips and things on there, right? Super chats. So people weren't happy with that. There was a lot of things that people weren't happy with. But in the end, you know, it doesn't matter at all, because the core message was not that people wanted to really leave, it was that Ken did not acknowledge the people who said, number one, Ken, part of your audience are people that suffer with depression. It was ableist and hurtful when you called that person names and were making really unsavory jokes about it. If Ken could acknowledge that he understood that, it would have been a lot easier to move on, right? But instead of that, people got the exact opposite, where he was like, nah, I'm gonna milk this for the toxicity, I'm gonna play this for the views, and it worked. His strategy worked. But my question to everybody here, once you've heard this story, is what do you think about it? Is it more valuable for you to watch a creator who is gonna bait people, who's gonna rage bait people, who's gonna get those views? Or is it important to watch people that you feel you align with? Because on both sides, I can see their side of the, uh, what is of the spectrum. I can see both sides. I can see the people who are saying, these people were a-holes. What were they talking about? You always make these jokes. I can see their side. And it's one thing that's a joke, people that they made a joke of is like people announcing that they're leaving on the Reddit. And, you know, if announcing that we're gonna leave is like an airport, so they started calling the Reddit an airport. And they said, well, Reddit isn't an airport, so stop announcing that you're leaving. But this crowd then started taking on the people who originally had an issue. But there's a third group of people. And this is another thing that I feel very, very strongly about. And this group of people overshadowed the people who originally had a valid issue. And this is the people that went and dived deep into everything Ken had ever done wrong and dug into his family life and spoke about that. You know, why? This group of people alienated the whole situation and made it about them talking about Ken's family, them saying that he's a predator, them saying he's too mean, he's horrible, they're gonna leave. That group of people caused this group of people that are on Ken's side to only see them instead of the original issue, because the original issue could have been addressed. Okay, now let's step back for a second and say, yes, this whole situation did get Ken views. And in the long run, it won't really matter, no matter what he did wrong, because he's going to continue to create. And we've learned cancel culture really doesn't work because people like James Charles are still online. People like Shane Dawson are still online. So cancel culture doesn't really cancel anybody. And now it's become a point where nobody learns anything anymore, because what does it matter? So, dear viewers, what do you think? Do you think it is important for creators to listen to their audience when they have grievances and be open enough to learn? Or should they just not care and keep on being themselves because it's the internet? People are a-holes anyway. I think there's a place for both. I think we can always, as creators, learn. Personally, for me, I am not for rage bait, because none of this would have happened if not for the power of rage bait. So many creators, there's that Reynolds lady that allowed that the homeless lady to jump into threw her on a bet and then ran away. And I don't even remember her name, but I know that she made that content because her rage bait got her views, and then big creators saw it and they spoke about it. So rage bait has a way of getting views, but we don't have enough data to know if this is going to be long-term sustainable trend. We don't know how this is going to end. So, what do you think? Do you think rage bait has a place in today's internet zeitgeist? Do you think we're going to look back on this trend of people making their audiences angry to exploit them for their emotions, to get views, and through views get clicks and therefore money? For me, it's a I step away when something makes me feel emotions and I evaluate why, and I don't respond to it in that moment, because I have learned through this whole experience and again through this journey, as I was part of the community, and for me, I am part of the community that says the jokes weren't okay, but the jokes in themselves aren't the issue. It's how Ken handled the situation that alienated people from his community. And again, he's not going to feel it. So blaming him for what works, I'm not sure if I can do that because he knows what works for him. He's got a lot more subscribers than I do. But that said, I got off the train the moment he admitted that this was the strategy that he followed. He is still going to have his audience, his core audience, so I don't think he's going to suffer. But I think I learned from it. I hope you all learned from it. It was such a surreal feeling being in that audience and you're like seeing this creator that I looked up to. He's one of the reasons I started YouTube and even Twitch, because I looked up to him because he showed maturity and a vibe that I clicked with. And he looked like somebody a little bit older than me that's still doing reaction content, that's keeping my generation and the content we're used to alive. And then being there and seeing somebody I look up to go unhinged, even though it was planned and he did it on purpose, is like so surreal. Have you ever been part of a drama journey where you were watching it, you were reading the comments, you were seeing all the stuff happen? How did it feel? Tell us in the comments below. And it was fun telling this story because, you know, again, I don't think anybody should be canceled. We can all learn from this. We can all be educated. But being part of such a situation, like, we can learn so much. And I hope in sharing this that you can also learn that it is okay to just walk away from creators when they make you uncomfortable or when a situation doesn't align with who you are and where you see yourself. There is no need to get into arguments that are going to get hurtful, because keyboard warriors on Reddit and on internet platforms, I have not been on X Twitter, X Twitter for so many years that I have not really been part of things like this. And being there on Reddit, reading the comments that Ken left live, I'm still shook. But yeah, please tell me what you think of the situation. How would you handle it? And to my viewers on Twitch, I want to say a special thank you. And if you want to catch this live, I stream every single day on Twitch, and this is kind of like the after party. So come join us, and I